Good evening. We'll go ahead and call to order the Planning Commission meeting for El Dorado today, June 25th, 2020. Mr. Shivers, can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Fellers, Commissioner Hackler, Commissioner Leeson. Here. Commissioner Long.
Here.
Commissioner McLaren.
Here.
Commissioner Stewart. Chairman Tetrick.
Here.
Commissioner Watson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda will be approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Any questions or comments, clarifications? If there are none, would entertain a motion.
I move we accept the minutes from May 28th, 2020.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, new business, Mr. Shivers.
All right, we have received an application for a special use permit at 500 South Allegheny Street. Special use permit is for an accessory structure that exceeds our by right allowances in the zoning ordinance. About a year ago, we made some zoning amendments where instead of having a flat limit of 1,200 square feet and above, 12-foot sidewalls and above requiring a special use permit, we tied the size to the home on the property. In this case, the property has a single home measuring about 670 square feet of gross floor area. The proposed building is 1,500 square feet, which is 30 feet in width, 50 feet in depth. Mr. Badway, the applicant, says there will be a 14-foot sidewall with a 312 pitch, which based on my math is about an 18-foot peak height on there. I spoke with Mr. Badway. Look, we estimate the house to have about a 12-foot high sidewall. The garage will have 14-foot sidewalls. If you've driven by, you'll see the house has a pretty steep pitched roof, whereas the garage will have a shallower pitch. And so in our discussions, we believe that it'll be about the same height as the house, the peak of both roofs. So in general, looking around the neighborhood, it is larger than most of the homes in the area, which range in size from 670 square feet to about 1,250. There are a couple larger ones a little bit farther out from the property. After discussions with Mr. Badway, though, we have discussed what we discussed here in the past about things we can do to reduce the visual impact of a large building in a neighborhood setting, especially a non-residential building. Some of those things include moving the building back about 20 or so feet behind the front of the home, the addition of landscaping, the addition of wrought iron fencing and gates to the front of the property. Two other things that I think help out with this case as far as reducing that impact, how big it'll be. One is that the view from the north is going to be pretty screened by the existing home and small single car garage and the existence of that tree line along the south property line. So these are all things that we typically discuss and recommend when we discuss these larger buildings. And so with those features, it's our opinion that it will fit in with the neighborhood, and we support a recommendation of approval for this building. So at this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Badway up himself to answer any questions or talk more about it. And while he's coming up, I'm going to pass around. He gave us a rendering of the wrought iron gates and fence he's looking to put on the front for you guys to check out.
Name and address, please, even though he can't just show.
Dick Badway, 423 South Allegheny, El Dorado.
Okay. Is that the house number that's on that house there?
It is on the
500. Yeah, I'm at 423.
Okay.
I actually live catty corner to the northwest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's that upper left roof there. His
Okay.
personal home, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I was making sure I was looking at the right place when I went
Yeah.
out there today.
Actually,
I looked at 500 and I was like,
yeah, no,
okay.
actually this house is owned by my daughter. She lives in New York. It's in an LLC called Cool Hand LLC. She and her fiance. I'm the resident agent of the LLC. The building, it was 2 lots. When she purchased it, we combined it into 1 lot. There was a house there that the previous owner tore down. It'll be used for basically storage of tools and equipment for me to take care of my daughter's rental properties. She has 3 rental properties and sounds like they're wanting to acquire some more. And I don't have room across the street in my garage and shop for the stuff, so, I said, well, why don't you put a building up over there and then we'll just keep the stuff in there. So,
What size is your door gonna be? Entry door,
be a 12-foot door.
12-foot door?
Yes, sir.
One,
One door, one walk door. Probably, there'll be, I'm sure when my wife gets finished, there's gonna be numerous plantings in front. I don't, did you pass out that? The
Yeah.
gate,
Yeah.
the gate's on there. My daughter went to KU, her fiance went to Seton Hall. That's where the Pirate and the Jayhawk come from. I'll have, probably just chain link down the sides and then the wrought iron in the front.
you're gonna fence it, you're gonna enclose it then?
The whole thing will be enclosed. The blue house there, is, it's rented, to a tenant, but, I mean, he won't have responsibility for mowing that and everything. I'll be doing that.
So you're gonna pour a driveway and you're going to go, you will probably be using it more than anyone else. I mean, it won't be getting a lot of traffic.
No, I mean, it'll be for my use. No, we don't, we won't be renting it to anybody, renting storage to anybody. It'll be for personal use.
Is it gonna be served as a garage for your daughter too then, to park her cars, or what?
Well, she lives in New York, so I doubt
She's
it.
not, oh, she's not moving back here, she's just.
Well, I hope someday.
She won't be living there then. But it won't be used as a garage then for cars? Or-
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. No, the rental house does have a separate garage, on the east side, so,
Gotcha, right.
yeah. Even though it's one piece of property, it's, the tenant won't be using the building.
Oh, okay.
There is an existing drive there now, but we're gonna
Yeah.
get another curb cut and,
Yeah, I think it's hard to see.
yeah, it's right there on the south. You can just barely see it there in the shadow.
That picture, you could almost see it, you know?
Yeah, you can,
Just a little bit there.
yeah.
Well, you've got it in this drawing too.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the existing curb cut.
yeah. Oh, there's an existing garage, yeah, okay, I see it now. That's what, it goes to that blue house on the corner, and it faces
Correct.
north then?
Yeah, it's on Locust,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Correct. It's detached.
Right.
And we held the building as far to the east as possible, not to obstruct the view of the house at 500 South Allegheny. There's no other houses on South Allegheny that face Allegheny. The next house on the corner faces Cave Springs.
I have no other questions.
Does anybody else have any questions for him?
Another question I got, the setback on the back, 8 feet, is that okay?
Yes, yep, that's the minimum for accessory structure. So there's a different one for your primary residence, which is a minimum 25 feet, and anything that's accessory from a garage workshop to a storage shed is 8. And typically, because that rear 8 feet on his property and 8 feet behind him is typically combined for a 16-foot utility easement.
And there is a privacy fence along the east side of the property that there's a concrete retaining wall and then privacy fence on top of it.
There's a good
Yeah.
picture of it there. Is that yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there not an alley back there?
No,
I
sir.
don't believe so.
The alley's on the other side of that White House you see. There's a
Oh, okay.
alleyway there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it there on that picture there.
Yeah.
Any other questions for him?
The sketch showed the property line vacated, is that already happened?
Yes. I took care of that with the county.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will open the public hearing. Would anybody like to speak?
We'll say I sent out notices to 200 feet. I had 2 phone calls. Both of them were just asking what was going on, and that's all I heard. No opinion shared. Just curious.
Nobody cares, huh?
At least no one was too worried that they called.
Well, I guess if there's no one to speak, we will close the public hearing. Any discussion amongst the commission?
I've got some concerns. Is this one piece of property legally,
Yes, sir.
but you're gonna divide it into 2?
No.
Well,
You go ahead
doesn't
and
that
answer.
fence divide it?
It was 2 pieces of property, and we combined it into 1.
But you're gonna fence it off and divide the metal building into its own little area? Own gate, the whole 9 yards?
Well, there'll be a separate gate, but it's still, legally, it's still 1 piece of property, yes, sir. The only reason I was putting the fence around it was for security.
Yeah, legally, it'll just still be one lot.
Yeah, it was 2 pieces of property when my daughter purchased it, and we got a hold of the county and combined it into 1 piece of property.
Okay. What's to say that it can't be split again and sold off as a metal building?
Well, that's what we watch for in code enforcement.
Yeah, that
Because doesn't that void the special use permit when that happens and
Right.
then you
That's
come with-
illegal.
That would
That
null
would
and
be-
void the special use permit, wouldn't it, Jeff?
Correct, yeah.
Well, once the building's done there, it kinda,
But it couldn't be subdivided and sold though, legally. Like, I mean, you couldn't file that with the register of deeds, so you would never own it if you tried to sell it. See what we're saying?
And we work with the county so that they share with us things like this that come through. So we know when someone tries to split up a lot that we didn't approve.
Thank you.
Any other questions, sir?
This gate looks like Randy Ewart's. Have you seen Randy Ewart's?
I haven't seen since he put the
Haven't
gate
you
in.
really? It's turned out pretty well.
It looks nice.
Yeah, it turned out, it looks, I mean, that's what he did.
This situation reminds me a lot of that with the mature trees
Yeah.
and the house on the other side and
Yeah,
that they're very similar. I mean, his building is bigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact, but it was much bigger.
Yeah, but I mean, it's set off the road and it's got the same,
he's got it fenced and landscaped and
Yeah.
gated.
Yeah.
It's,
It's those little things that start to add up to help things blend in.
well, you know, and I mean, when I went by there, this property that it would be, if you're coming from the other direction, you wouldn't even see it. I mean, those trees are pretty substantial. In the house on I forget what that other road is, the one to the east. Yeah, that, that house sets quite a ways off, that the only house that's really affected is the house where it's gonna be, so. Any other discussion?
Well, I'll tack on, we have a criteria for all our special use permits, but the unique thing with accessory structures is that there's a lot of them that don't apply very well. If you read through my memo, like, how's the accessibility to municipal services like fire and police? Well, it's the same as the house next door. Utilities, there's no major impacts like major traffic, noise, dust, emissions and stuff. So a lot of the times with accessory structures, it kind of boils down to that last big criteria, which is that general compatibility, which is how does it fit in with the neighborhood, which is usually what's up for consideration.
And we're fairly certain it's gonna be roughly the same height as the house, right? I mean, more or less.
That's been our
Yeah,
discussion.
the house, even though it's a little house, it's out of the ground quite a ways, and it's got a pretty steep pitch,
Yeah.
but I actually think the building is shorter than the house, like half a foot.
I mean, that would be my only concern is that you would see it coming down the road, but if it's shorter and it would be behind it from the road, that,
Yeah, and that's something I talked to Nick about. When we changed our rules last year, we linked the whole size of the building to the home,
Right.
and then we also said it could not exceed the height of the home. So and when I wrote the memo, I was still working with Nick to get that information. So yeah, I think the building might have a slightly taller sidewall, but a shallower pitched roof.
Right, with
Yeah.
the shallow pitch roof.
So, but you think it's gonna exceed the existing home 2 feet by your mathematical calculations?
Can I see the what?
The house by 2 feet? The
Well, the
building?
sidewall. We-
No, what about the pitch of the roof?
Well, I mean, in our discussions, like I said, this is an exact science, and I don't think Nick measured the peak of his house, did you?
No, I mean.
So I think we're going by our best
I mean, I went on
estimate.
the back and measured it, but, I mean, we'll build, you know, we're gonna have a pad and everything, so, I mean, you know, it's gonna be up. Cause I don't want everything to run to the street, I don't want anything running into it. The best calculation I came up with in talking to my builder, Roger Knowles,
Hey, can you come up here? When I do minutes, I can hear you.
I know that. Have I told people that?
My calculation is the building is gonna be about 6 inches shorter at the peak than the house.
Okay.
But I wouldn't bet my life on it.
Okay.
But what is our rule that we put in? It can't be taller than that?
You cannot exceed the peak height of the
Okay.
house. Yeah,
I thought
so
we
it
put
can't be
something
taller.
in there that stated. I remember we had a pretty,
Even with the special use permit?
Well, so we have these where it links it to the size of the home and then the height, but then the special use permit's written into, so that you can go taller or larger or both with the special use permit. So that's why I brought it up, since there's a little bit of uncertainty in the exact height, but be close.
On your fencing, are you wanting to put a fence between the house and the shop? Or is it gonna be just across the front?
You know, I'm gonna put the wrought iron in the front, and then I was gonna run probably 4-foot chain link just down both sides and tie it into the privacy fence at the back of the property,
So when you say both sides, you mean both sides?
on the north and the south.
Okay, so there would be a fence between.
Correct. I mean, now, that's not a deal killer. I mean, if you guys say,
I don't know.
no, I mean, if that's gonna be a special condition, I mean, I can live with that, but, I mean, a 4-foot fence ain't gonna stop anybody. I mean, somebody wants to get over that, a 4-foot fence ain't gonna stop them, I know that.
I kind of agree with Commissioner Leeson about it'll look like it's divided and, you know, even though it's not legally, it'll look like it's two separate things. And it's zoned single family, right?
Correct.
So he could fence off the blue house and give you security.
So, I mean, what difference does it make?
Well, it wouldn't be divided, I mean, it wouldn't look divided like,
So if I fence the blue house,
I mean, around the whole property.
You mean including it with the garage? and
Yes,
everything?
yeah, not just the blue house, but the whole
I mean, run
property.
it down the south side of the blue house and then over and or run it clear to the back on the blue house? Because
Running across the local.
see, there is a fence,
street.
there is a fence yard on the north side of the blue house. There is a fence yard.
Oh,
The previous tenant had a dog, and,
I don't know if there's a way.
is that on?
can see it, but
you
it's
can
there.
see it right there, yeah. It's like I
Okay.
took a picture of that.
Chain
side,
link,
but-
4-foot chain link.
There's some over here.
I was just suggesting then, if you guys don't like it down the middle, we could run it along Locust
You mean
all the way to Allegheny.
well, there's already a fence down Locust.
Well, it doesn't go all the way to Allegheny, does it? It's just in the back, isn't it? Or
Well, it's
not?
on the side, it's on the north side.
I don't know, is that what you're talking about, Commissioner Leeson? I don't know what you're referring to. I'm just throwing out another
Well,
thing to think
fencing
about.
it all off in one is gonna make it look like it's an individual lot with just a building on
Okay,
it. And to me, I've said it about every one of these buildings, it's just opening the door for people to every empty lot, they slap one of these big buildings in and,
How about-
oh, it's just gonna be this.
But you can't do it though if it's, doesn't have a house on the property. Like, I can't go buy a lot, tear down the house and build a shop. Like, I can't do
Right.
that. Like,
Right.
that is against the rules.
The
for
way I
city owner.
understood the law or the ordinance, if we hadn't have combined the two lots,
You can't.
we wouldn't be having this
You
conversation.
can't, well, you can
Correct.
build if you're gonna live in it, but it's gotta meet the criteria.
But then you have to build your home first and then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't
Okay.
do it. If it's two
So-
separate lots, you can't do it.
So how about this? What if we went ahead and put the fence east and west, and then put a fence north, tied it into the house or the porch, and then took it over to my wrought iron gate?
Oh, okay. So you're not gonna bring it all the way to Allegheny then, that way? You're gonna-
Oh, I never was gonna bring it all the way to Allegheny. I was just gonna bring it back to where my gate was.
Oh,
Wrought
okay.
iron.
Oh, I'm
gate.
sorry, I didn't,
Oh.
oh, yeah, I won't bring
I
I
it.
thought
think
you were
everybody thought you were gonna have a fence all the way up.
Oh, no, sir.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna bring
Allegheny.
it from
Oh,
the
no,
privacy
sir.
fence to Allegheny.
No, that wrought iron will be back
Yeah,
behind the house. I was just gonna bring the fence out to there, to the wrought iron.
If the fence is only gonna go that far, I don't know.
so that would kind of match the fence you have north of the Blue House
Yes, it
too.
would look the same.
That'll make it look a lot
Yeah,
like it's
I
not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry for the confusion, no.
Yeah, I like just gonna fence the
Oh,
metal
no,
building
sir. Oh, no,
completely
sir,
in.
and I apologize if I implied that, but, no, my side fences won't come past the wrought iron that's in the front there on
Okay.
the west side.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm as well. I mean, I don't think, the chain link fence doesn't really draw too much attention.
Okay.
No.
That's two, I need three.
Any more questions? If not, we'll vote on it and see where we're at.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval of case number 20-06-SUP, a request by Nick Badway for a special use permit to allow a 1,500 square foot accessory structure on a property located at 500 South Allegheny Street for the reasons set forth in the staff recommendation and heard at this public hearing.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Shivers, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Leeson,
No.
Commissioner Long,
Yes,
Commissioner McLaren,
Yes.
Chairman Tetrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes to recommend approval 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, item number 2 of new business. Mr. Shivers.
All right, for the next one, I'd like to invite up Mr. Mitch Walter
Yes.
to get us going.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mitch Walter. I'm an attorney with Gilmore and Bell. We have served as bond counsel to the city of El Dorado for a number of years. In this project, we're actually acting as a special counsel to the city with respect to the tax increment financing district that is underway regarding the Orscheln project. We started this process a while back, but it is, would a general description of the tax increment financing process be helpful? Okay. So under Kansas statutes and a number of other states have the same statutory framework for tax increment financing, where basically the theory is that for eligible projects under the applicable statutes, you take the year in question and you freeze the valuation of a certain parcel of real estate. When you build your project on that parcel of real estate, the value of that real property then goes up. So the incremental increase in the property valuation is then siphoned off and put in a different bucket. That different bucket, those funds can be used for eligible costs under the TIF, the TIF Act. In this case, the Orscheln group that's building the Orscheln Farm Home project out there, has not asked the city of El Dorado to issue any bonds or issue any debt out of that increment that's over in this other bucket, or that will be over in this other bucket. What they have asked is for those funds to be used to reimburse the developer for the project for eligible costs, which are basically site prep, utilities, public infrastructure, and other things like that. There's no vertical construction that can be reimbursed. Those costs are not eligible under the act. So that's where that's the whole the background. We have previously created what we call the West Central Gateway TIF district, and it's a two-step process. First, the TIF district has to be created. That's the whole parcel. And then within the TIF district, there can be different project areas that are created. In this case, because there's just one project, the proposed project area is coterminous with the district. So it's one and the same, it's the same parcel. In order to create the project area and actually freeze the property tax and create the increment, the city of El Dorado would eventually have to approve the project plan, which is that, I don't know if that's been provided in your packets.
Yes.
Okay, the project plan and within the project plan, the feasibility report, which was prepared by another entity that takes the estimated cost of the project, the current value of the land, the estimated increment, and puts all that into the feasibility study. And the feasibility study for this project has determined that for about $1.1 million of TIF eligible costs that would be reimbursed, the TIF district would repay those costs in about 10 to 11 years, and that's based on the original assessed valuation of $124,700. And when the project is done and complete and fully on the tax rolls, the estimate is valuation will be $1,035,000 and change. So pretty good increment there, which means it's a good project as far as increasing the valuation of that property. Where the Planning Commission comes in now within all of this is specifically with respect to the TIF Act. There's a provision in the Kansas statutes that requires the City Planning Commission to consider the project plan, and if the project is to go forward, the Planning Commission has to make a finding that the project plan is consistent with the comprehensive development policy of the city. And so that's why I'm here tonight telling you all of this stuff about the district and the plan and where we're at in the process, because at this meeting tonight, it would be up to the Planning Commission to consider that, making that finding to allow the project to continue.
Well, I'll pick up and add on some to there. So with this project, you guys saw the plat for it at the end of 2019 when we subdivided the lots for the project. You haven't seen anything since then because the zoning has been correct. It's a retail store, everything's met it. They've gone through the administrative development process where they submitted building construction plans to us, grading plans, utility plans, all those things that meet building code. They meet our zoning ordinance, meet all our regulations, and have been approved. As you can see, they're already starting work out there. So as far as the comprehensive plan goes, it does recommend commercial in this area on West Central. As you saw, my memo meets the guidelines for commercial development out there. So to follow up on what Mr. Walter was saying, so we believe it does meet our comprehensive plan. It does meet our development regulations. They haven't required any special approvals, which is why you haven't seen them, and they've been administrative permits issued. So more or less what we're looking for, and I drafted a rough motion.
Sure.
Is just to say that if you looked at the project plan and agree with what we're saying, then you'd be saying that you believe, or that you find that it's consistent with our comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we approved the plat, that's essentially what we said, is that was meeting the goals of the comprehensive plan.
Right.
Correct. And as long as they're meeting those criteria, technically they would still be meeting.
Well, the plat was actually under our subdivision regulations
Right.
for that side,
Okay.
which just falls under our development regulations in general. And we didn't do zoning at that point because it was already zoned correctly for the retail, restaurant, and all those things we want on West Central.
So can we actually talk about specifics of this layout and stuff, or is that part of what we're here for, or?
So part of it, I guess, is a little bit of a formality to help with this TIF district for them, which is a financing district, not something that we have to worry about development standards on because it's always met it. So everything they're doing has already been approved. It meets all of our ordinances, all of our development, utilities have been approved, grading's been approved. So there's no site plan decisions or anything like that that needs to be made. So it's by state statute that we just have to agree tonight that it meets our development plan, meets our comprehensive plan, and that allows them to move forward with these financing, with that separate bucket to
Right.
reimburse some of these costs. Yeah.
So does our determination tonight go to the city commission then? Or is this,
Yeah, so whatever finding the planning commission makes will go to the city commission, and the city commission will then, at a later meeting, I think it's scheduled for August 17th, consider the project plan as the governing body, and at that point in time, assuming that it goes forward, it would actually create the project area based on the finding, part and parcel finding from the planning commission that the project plan is consistent with the city's development plan.
so what's gonna happen between now and August 17th?
Right,
As far as construction, I mean, is this gonna hold it up or
I
what?
don't think so, because the construction is ongoing, basically, and this is just for the TIF Act. After the planning commission would make its finding, the city then has to adopt a resolution saying that it's going to hold a public hearing regarding the project plan. And then there has to be 30 days between the actual public hearing for the project plan by the city and the resolution that adopts giving notice that it's gonna call. So it just adds some time to the process.
So what's gonna happen the rest in July? Is the construction gonna go on?
I think it's going to
Is
be,
it gonna
I think it's going to be ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be shut down.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions?
So, excuse me. We're not determining anything about the funds, we're just talking about whether the project fits the plan. the
Correct.
The
plan.
comprehensive plan.
Right, yeah, just to make that act, they just say, well, you need to make sure that this project meets your comprehensive plan, which is the goals of the community. Yeah.
Because I thought it was kind of confusing as to how it was being paid for, how they got money back through the taxes, who was paying that?
Well, and TIF districts are very common in a lot of big cities where you have redevelopment areas, so it allows them to set aside that pot of cash to help redevelop in the district, whether it's anything from roads and water and sewer all the way to nice streetlights or park benches, just every state's different, every city's different. I think this is our first and only district in El Dorado.
Yeah, this is the city's first go-around with the TIF project.
Do you have a slide with a floor plan or anything, or just this?
I didn't bring one, this was just the one we had. All of our plans are paper, this is the only digital layout I had for them.
When they're talking about the district, is that just where Orstons is?
Yes,
Does that
it's-
include people around them?
It's just that parcel, it's generally bounded by, map up there. Yes, yeah.
Okay, okay. The picture shows Sutherland's and the residents in it.
Right, there should be outlined the project area. I have a black and white copy, so it might not show up as so
Yeah,
well.
it
but
is outlined.
The Sutherlands is not included in that.
Okay.
Wasn't part of the original, part of the plan, including 3 housing developments at the north end and 2 retails at the south end?
Right.
Is that part of the development plan?
We platted those residential lots, but this TIF district stays south of Second Avenue. I think it includes Second Avenue, but not the residential.
Yeah, it does not include any residential areas up there.
But the 2 retail properties on the south end, that's included?
The 2 small ones?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the outlots there.
Yeah, there's 2 small ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's mostly the Orschelns, those 2 small ones, and then the large lot to the west. If you remember that, the west half of that one's the one that had all the floodplains and the pipelines and
Yeah,
limited development.
still does. They're still there. And there's a drainage pond there I saw built, that's part of that's runoff
Yep, I don't remember if that's a
Commercial.
long-term one, if that was part of their stormwater protection plan, as in when they're grading, we can only allow so much dirt and silt to get into the waterways. So I don't remember if that one's long-term or not, that may be just for construction at the moment.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
This probably doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but is there any kind of doors on that east side to that outdoor storage for like forklifts and stuff?
I remember there being access, I don't remember the size, but that will be their outdoor, sales area.
Because the way it's laid out, I can see them kids at Orson driving their forklift down Second Street. I worked at Orson's 24 years ago, and I could see that happening if there's not a way to do there. So I guess that's probably nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I think it's
Yeah, I'm not sure that's, our deal, but I
Yeah.
see what you're saying, though. My guess is there would be doors on that side, but you never know.
I believe there was, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, there is no public hearing, correct?
Correct,
There's
I'm
no
not aware
public
of it.
Okay. So any other discussion amongst the commission? Got a question, now's the time. Okay, if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion.
I move to find the Orson's Farm and Home redevelopment project plan to be consistent with the City of El Dorado 2030 comprehensive plan.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Shivers, can we have a roll call? Vote.
Yep, Commissioner Leeson,
Yes.
Commissioner Long,
Yes.
Commissioner McLaren,
yes.
Chairman Tetrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson.
Yes.
All right, 5-0, the motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Walter.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So
Good
does that
luck.
skip a city commission meeting then, based on that, since it was August 17th?
Well, and I think they have to have advertising time.
Yeah, so there's the public, there's the resolution, and then you have to publish the resolution, and then you have to have 30 days after the publication. So the way it broke out is that
Yeah,
that's what we're requiring.
that makes sense.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any old business?
No old business.
Any staff items?
Yes, just one. We originally planned on doing the capital improvement plan tonight, but they were still working on putting the finishing touches on it. So what I have is on your way out. I have a capital improvement plan for you guys to pick up and look over. And then, as part of my staff items, I'd just like to get some feedback on how you guys would like to review it this year. In the last 5 years, we've done everything from, Scott Ricker's here to answer some questions, all the way to having each department head present theirs in detail and everywhere in between. So we just want how you guys are feeling. I mean, we can even range from review it and we can talk about it at the next meeting, call us with questions between now and then. We're pretty flexible. So,
For me, I don't think I need department heads here. I mean, I looked at online today at the city commission, had this in front of them, and I don't know that I need any more explanation than that.
yeah, I think they were reviewing the work session, at their work session yesterday.
Yeah.
If I recall.
But I would like for Scott to be here.
Okay.
I kind of would like to review it, and then at the meeting, Scott do his thing and questions and comments. But I mean, I don't know that we need.
And a lot of projects are engineering projects. So if you're
Yeah, I
familiar
mean,
with
I think
those-
most of our questions would be for Scott anyway, so I
Yeah.
mean, those people are important.
And Scott's well versed in the recreation part. There were several recreation department projects on there too.
And he's involved in a little bit of everything.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right, so we think we want to, at the next meeting, have Scott here to talk more about these?
Yeah.
Okay.
When does it have to be done? By what date?
I haven't had a deadline. I assume that we need to look at it next month. That's all I've been told. So I know there's a lot of last minute changes since I just got this yesterday.
Yeah.
Right before the city commission, so. And the city commission, I believe that was their first review of it too at that work session.
And none of these projects are for this year, for 2020, were they all, or they?
Correct, they started 2021.
Yeah.
And if you recall, the planning commission's role in this is that by state statute, just like the project plan, you guys review them and then make a determination that it meets the goals of the comprehensive plan.
Right. Because I saw some of the projects were using sales tax money, and sales tax hasn't been appropriated yet, so that's for '21.
Sure, and with this preliminary planning, there, you'll see the different funding lines, how they're expecting funding from different areas or planning for different funding.
Okay,
I think that's all I have for my items.
awesome. Okay, do we have a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, gentlemen.